Pastor Steve here. Recall Esther, beautiful Queen Esther, and Haman's plot, remember, to destroy the Jews that had been discovered by Mordecai. And he asked Esther to go in and petition the king for her people's life. This could cost her her life because it was against the law for her to do that. Esther 4:10 through 16, Esther spoke to Hatachi and gave him a command for Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king provinces know that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the king who has not been called, he has but one law, put all to death, except the one to whom the king holds out the golden scepter, that he may live. Yet I myself have not been called to go in unto the king these 30 days. So they told Mordecai Esther's words, and Mordecai told them to answer Esther, "Do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, "Go, gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan, and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise, and so I will go to the king, which is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." I've often wondered at this young woman. Her uncle had chosen to stay in Persia and not go back to Israel, and there were many who had stayed. I wondered, but then I realized that God set the stage to rescue his people in this way at this time. Esther was highly favored by her king husband, and her uncle felt it was her duty to use her position to save her people. I imagine that was a lump in her throat. This young woman chose faith over fear. Faith over fear. Do not think she was ignorant of the law. She was in a position to save and had counted the cost. Her words ring down through the ages. If I perish, I perish. Or Job, though he slay me, still I will trust him. Like the Savior who had come in a position to be the one who could save us all from eternal hell. And he, like her, said, "Father, I'm not thrilled by this death and taking on the guilt of the world. If there's any other way, please do it. But Father, not my will, but thine be done." Esther was spared and saved her people. Jesus was not spared, and that is the only way his people could be spared. I have to ask myself, how deep is my commitment? How deep is my love to God and God's people? Would I stand in the face of criticism, never mind death, and do what it takes to see Christ formed in people? Would I stand in the face of death and stay firm in the faith of Christ? I tremble at the martyrs who were burned at the stake. Bishops Latimer and Ridley were convicted of preaching the gospel, and the royalty of the church sentenced them to death, a fearful death. Ridley had a slow, painful death. And as the end approached, Latimer encouraged Ridley. He said, "Be of good comfort, Mr. Ridley, and play the man. We shall this day light such a candle by God's grace in England, as I trust never shall be put out." Oh, Lord, may I have a faith like that in these days. You ponder that, Pastor Steve.